Hello, welcome to the Nuance Diaries. I'm Alexa. This is where I put my vulnerability on display as a permission slip for yours. And man, are we doing that with this series. This is part one of four posts in a series called How I Found My Broken Hallelujah. And it is my first series like this, but I really wanted to honor the fullness of this story and this alchemy that I found, so excited to dive in. On the eve of the Lunar New Year, 3 days before my birthday, I finally threw out the jagged glass pieces of a mug that I broke 6 months ago. I never thought it would take me 6 months to throw out a reminder of one of the worst nights of my life, but here I was. I held it in my hands one last time, took a few pictures, even though I already had plenty. I outlined the pink handle and some of the remaining pieces that were still intact with a charcoal pencil on my tracing pad because I wanted to do an art project later. I have been really into oil pastels lately. I carefully put the broken pieces in a plastic bag. I broke the mug even further, deliberately this time for catharsis. And then I let every last piece go. I can tell you why that broken mug was one of my favorites in one sentence, because it's perfect. It's the definition of Pretty Girl Avenue. A gorgeous glass mug with bronze gold Barbie dream house on the front and a pink perfect handle, and I drank out of it nearly every day from my waterfront patio in San Diego, where I used to live. It also came in a set of two. I still have the other, identical, unbroken mug. So why keep the broken one for 6 months? Because of how it broke. So here are a few things that happened in the 24 to 48-ish hours before the broken mug incident. 1, Taylor Swift got engaged, and my corner of the internet exploded. I somehow managed to not scream at the reception desk I was working at when I found out, when my best friend's sister texted me the news. It was just this explosion of girlhood. My 15-year-old self was bursting at the seams. So 2, I wrote a spontaneous Substack piece about Taylor's engagement, which kind of went viral thanks to Threads. It was easily my most successful post ever, like over a year, but just ever. You can read it. I linked it. It landed me on the Substack rising bestseller list. I welcomed many, many new followers and subscribers on Threads and Substack. My phone was buzzing constantly with comments and people resonating with what I wrote and just general excitement. 3, I was offered a new temp job that had serious potential to lead something long term. It ended up not working out, which is totally fine. I didn't really want the actual job, but I wanted the consistent income. But the possibility of that was still really exciting at the time. And the even more exciting thing, actually, side note, is that I ended up getting multiple gigs that I liked more that paid more than the temp gig. And actually, I had to work less and more money, which is the best thing in life. So that was great. What are we on? 4, my middle school bestie's wedding was days away. I was excited and perhaps a little anxious. I was staying with an incredibly generous friend of hers, whom I'd never met before. I knew that I likely wouldn't know a lot of people there. And I also hadn't been out of New York since last December when I moved back from California after a whirlwind year of travel back and forth. 5, I had a bit of breathing room financially after being strapped for almost a year. Most of that money came from selling Hollywood Bowl tickets, see Jesus Christ Superstar. I was absolutely heartbroken. I think I'll always be. But I also knew it was the right call, and the ticket sold at the last minute at a profit. I made my money back, and then some, and it was the biggest win I had in a long time. So all of that happening on the surface. Under the surface, the hardest summer of my life was finally coming to an end. The summer I accepted money from a friend to afford my antidepressants. The summer, I paid for my groceries with $6 worth of quarters from the AMC Alphaba popcorn bucket where I kept tips from a toxic service job that I had quit in the spring. The summer, I had some of the worst depression I hope I'll ever have to endure. And after all of that, here I was jumping up and down over Taylor Swift's engagement with money in the bank account and tangible success to point to in my writing career when people at the wedding inevitably asked me, "What do you do?" With all of these good things circling me, I think my nervous system got the memo that I could finally breathe. Enter panic attack. Center stage. Like always, everything was fine until it wasn't. I spent the day manning the reception desk of the very cool creative ad agency in Brooklyn where I'd been working for the last 2-ish weeks. It was the kind of place where I might have an insanely busy hour or two, but most of the day was pretty chill. It was August in New York City after all. The entire office was empty half the week. I do remember being overstimulated the afternoon before the panic attack. It was one of those days where everybody seemed to be congregating in the kitchen and its surrounding areas, my desk space, nonstop. Like 3 combos happening at once, lots of footsteps on the hardwood floor above, the sporadic ding-dong chime of the intercom to alert me of deliveries, and of course, someone telling me the music in the bathroom was a smidge too loud. And a side note here, I've learned from temping in a lot of offices in Manhattan and New York that every office has its thing, that unexplainable thing that no one really questions because it's part of their culture, even though that thing makes no sense to an outsider. Sometimes it's like specific ratio of snacks, or the volume of music in the bathroom, or the kind of music in the bathroom, or the way they greet visitors, or other times it's like the extra set of copies that one particular gift officer needs to have for donations processing, even though nobody else wants their own personal set of copies, which is a true story. And I'm sure this woman had a perfect reason for having her personal copies. It was actually lovely. I worked at that office for a whole month, and I wrote her a thank you note when I left because they were all so nice to me, that team. Anyway, I cannot pinpoint overstimulation as the reason for the panic attack because I'm a New Yorker, and I'm likely to be overstimulated at least once a day, even in my own apartment. I remember being tired on the way home from the office. I remember pulling out my phone at the train across the water from Brooklyn to Manhattan. I remember writing the following lyrics. They kind of came out of thin air. And they go, I'm going to say them, not sing them right now. Who I had to be with you. Who I had to be with you. Sorry. Who I had to be with you is who I am no longer. We had some good times, but now it's time I start running further. You and I were standing still. The water's fine and even still. The waves are calling, so I won't be calling you anymore. By the time I got home, I was still tired, but now also deeply uneasy. All I wanted to do was shower, get horizontal, and watch Summer I Turn Pretty. I didn't feel better after the shower, or after lying down in the dark and listening to ASMR. I somehow felt worse. I didn't immediately realize having a panic attack. As is the case with all my panic attacks, my first thought was, I'm going to die. Not a single thing I did helped. Felt like my apartment had turned into an endlessly rocking ship that I could not steer to shore. I couldn't get steady, no matter what I tried. My legs felt so shaky, my feet in particular. I would have sworn that they were just like vibrating. I sat, paced, and at times I even shook. I laid on the floor with, my feet up on the wall, took a shower, I think, and then I drank a lot of water. I couldn't, handle a full meal. Eventually, I curled my weighted blanket, and I finally fell asleep. I don't fully remember every detail of that harrowing night, but memories from the following morning are vividly clear, because that is when the mug broke. So read on or listen to part 2. What happens next?